And I just want to say hello and welcome to everybody. I'm so happy to have connected with Lina. She and I actually met once and on like a very serendipitous, almost, what do I want to say, on the spur of the moment, we just decided to collaborate because we have a lot of similar interests and our field of coaching really meshes well. I have such a passion for mental wellness and mindfulness. So I'm so happy that Lina is going to provide that complement to the gut health information that I'm going to provide. So yeah, I just have to say it's really, really wonderful. And I appreciate all of you for being here. I'm going to share my screen right now, get my links out of here. And, I'll be keeping an eye on the chat, but I know Lina's going to help me out. So feel free at any point in time, if you have questions or comments about what I'm saying, if I don't get to it for the purposes of time, I'll definitely be able to get in touch with you thereafter. But like I said, my name is Trish Whetstone. I go by the Feel Good Gut Coach. So I am a gut coach, gut health coach, and emotional eating coach for people, mostly busy professionals, kind of struggling with nutrition and stress management. And as you can see from the pictures here, contrary to belief, when first seeing these pictures, I was a very well-nourished child. I had a wonderful childhood and really no health issues until I was in my late teens, early 20s. This picture on the bottom left was after I was fresh out of university. I studied psychology and public health. I was working as a director at a nonprofit agency. And from the outside, I looked really healthy. I would go to the doctors and they'd say, "You're fit." We don't really see much going on in blood work, but I would feel like I would wake up like I got hit by a bus. I was just so low energy and fatigued all the time. And I realized after doing some self-reflection and some studying that the gut issues were really at the core. So I started to get certifications in health and life coaching to help myself first. This picture with the peace sign is at a wedding right after I received my certifications. And I think it's just a testament to how much better I felt once I was able to nourish my gut. So that's a little bit about me. For fun, whenever I do a workshop, I always like to ask, if you were a dessert, what would you be and why? Pictured on the screen here are all gut healthy desserts, by the way, that I have made. In the middle, can't say that's homemade. That is Simple Mills, which was one of my favorite gluten-free, dairy-free, gut healthy brands. We have some vegan cheesecake on the left and some 3-ingredient brownies. And the components of these desserts, I won't go over the recipes per se, but they're going to be really some gut healthy components that we will chat about. If I were a dessert, I would probably be something salted caramel, salty sweet. Not because, I think because I just have that kind of personality that spans. I like a lot of different stuff. Fruit says Ernie Brownie, Lena. Yeah, I love a fudgy brownie more so than cake. I just love to hear, what kind of desserts you would be. So just for fun, you can pop that in the chat box for me. And for time purposes, though, I will move on. I just want to start with talking about why gut health. Why gut health? I think there is this wonderful buzz around gut. It's like gut health. And I tell people I'm a gut health coach. And they're like, that's so important. But we don't always know why gut health is important, what it really does, or we know little pieces of the puzzle. So I hope to give you more clarity today, starting with what the gut really does. So the gut, when we say the word gut, we are referring to the colon or our intestines, and it's part of the digestive process. The digestive process involves more than just our gut, but our gut really absorbs the nutrients from our food. So what you write in those pages does matter. What we fuel our body with does matter. And so I will be focusing on nutrition quite a bit when it comes to gut health today. But let's look at why else the gut is so important. The next piece of this puzzle is the microbiome. This is the colony of bugs that live in our gut. Now, bugs are basically bacteria, viruses, and fungi that are responsible for so many different areas of our health. So, of course, optimal digestion, but also weight management, skin health, pain management, energy and sleep, brain health and mental health, our immune system, our heart health, even our vaginal health and our oral health. So that means that when we have some sort of disease, a lot of times the gut is at the root cause. About 70% of our immune cells are housed within our gut lining. About 95% of our serotonin, one of our feel good mood stabilizing hormones, is actually made in our gut, not our brain. And as someone who studied neuroscience in college, I was like, how come I never learned that? That actually a lot of these things are housed within the gut. For example, when I was really struggling with gut issues, I was actually underweight. Some people will struggle with keeping weight on and they'll be overweight. But I also was starting to get acne and rosacea, and I would wake up just really fatigued, and I've had joint pain. So it really is a lot more than just our digestive health. So we're going to look at how we can really fuel our microbiome today, and thus how we can help all these areas of our health. The last reason that gut health is so important is one of my favorite things, the gut-brain axis. And really what Lina is going to bring to the table the second half of our presentation is going to speak so strongly to this. This is the connection between our brain and our gut. So our brain and our gut are directly connected via something called the vagus nerve. It's a cranial nerve. And when we get that gut feeling, that drop in our stomach, the kind of butterflies in our stomach, that is a signal from our brain through that cranial nerve, the vagus nerve. But it's bi-directional. So that means that our mental health affects our gut health, but also our gut health affects our mental health. And this right here is why I just think Lina and I are kind of like this dynamic duo. So happy to chat about it. So we're going to kind of look at how we can optimize all these important areas of our gut health by looking at how we can promote regular digestion, a healthy microbiome, and techniques to strengthen this gut-brain axis. I'll touch on that a little bit, but Lina's really going to do a lot of the heavy lifting there with her wonderful mindfulness expertise. So first off, I do like to do things in threes. So 3 things that we can look at for regular digestion: nutritional, movement, and as well as meal timing. But I'm going to break these down. And for time purposes, if you have any questions during this, any specifics, let me know. If I happen to see something in the chat, I'll be able to answer it. And otherwise, I can kind of come to that at the end of our presentation. So I get this question. This is probably the number one question that I get when it comes to gut health is, what do I eat for gut health anyway? And the truth is, it is so bio-individual. I cannot tell you exactly what to eat for gut health. I work with clients and their diets all look a little bit different. But as a rule of thumb, 2 things that I think are overlooked, or we just can't discount how important they are for gut health, are fiber and healthy fats. And this is because being undernourished or not eating enough or eating too much can affect this digestive process. Just like we have these natural clocks for sleep, our circadian rhythms, we have this natural clock for digestion. We want it to be coming pretty regularly, bowel movements pretty regularly throughout our day. And 2 things that we can do is have fiber and healthy fats. And I think at least in the standard American diet, I'm always a lot of times referencing things in the US. Not sure in the UK usually nutrition is better everywhere but the United States. So you might be, but I'm sure that we have some similar nutritional deficiencies. One in the United States that's really low is fiber. So for gut health and digestion, I'm really a big promoter of plant-based fiber. So berries, fruits, vegetables, leafy greens, and then whole grains. But the types of grains do matter when it comes to gut health. I'm a big proponent of oats, rice, sprouted grains, and things like quinoa versus traditional wheat, because things like gluten sensitivity are becoming ever more common. But when you pair this with healthy fats, essentially fiber and fats keep us more full, more satiated. So we're less likely to overeat, and we're more likely to allow for this natural digestive process. Fiber adds bulk to our stool. So it doesn't matter if you are prone to constipation or diarrhea, fiber is so important. And fat really helps nourish the lining of our gut, our intestines. So on the slide here, I have some foods, of course, that have healthy fats. So we're talking mono or polyunsaturated fats, our olive oils, coconut products. And then in the middle there are foods that are kind of like a double whammy. They give you both fiber and healthy fats. So I'm a big proponent of chia seeds, flax seeds, even avocado is a wonderful healthy fat that has fiber as well. And as you can see here, I'm also a big fan of smoothie bowls. These are all smoothie bowls that I've made. If you follow me on Instagram at Feel Good Girl, I share plenty of different smoothie bowl recipes. I think they are like the soup of summer because you can just put in lots of wonderful plant-based foods, add some fat and fiber in there, and it's a wonderful meal. All right. Another way that we can promote regular digestion is through the movement, length, and strength of our internal organs. In our culture and our society today, we're so often hunched over, and poor posture does contribute to digestive issues. I think it's one of those things that we look over quite often, but really when we're slouching, we're sitting all the time, our internal organs were meant to be elongated. Really, humans were meant to stand more of the day than sit, but now we're sitting all the time. And poor posture can cause this compression in the digestive tract and the compression of the internal organs. So one thing that I love to do is some stretching and some twisting whenever I'm sitting at my desk, setting a little timer. The picture here on the right is my kitten Smiles, and she loves to do yoga with me. She always has to at least be touching my yoga mat a little bit while I'm doing yoga. And Lena's going to share some wonderful exercises, but even as you're watching right now, one of the things that you can do is sit up a little bit straighter, maybe do some twists, get a nice little back crack as well. And really, this is a wonderful way to massage our internal organs and promote healthy digestion. Yeah, I love, we can stretch up high. We can even provide ourselves with a little bit of self-massage just with our hands in a clockwise motion, very, very slight pressure on your belly, nothing uncomfortable, but this is one of my favorite natural ways to alleviate bloat and gas. It's just a light internal massage from the outside with your hands. And it's a wonderful way to promote motility. So motility is kind of what it sounds like. It's the movement of food through our digestive tract, all the way from our mouth through our stomach and intestines and out the other end. And essentially one of the main reasons that people develop gut issues, irritable bowel syndrome, is because food sits in certain parts of our digestive tract for too long. So a lot of times, really, we should have things flowing pretty consistently, bowel movements on a regular basis. And these simple exercises and stretches are a great natural way to promote that motility without having to use any sort of diuretics. Let me check the chat box really quickly here and just see what we have rolling.
There's one question from Ernie. Trish, if you want to read that.
Yeah, the age of fruits and seeds. Yeah, you know what? Absolutely, Ernie. There's not going to be one specific way that I can answer this, but I can give a couple examples. When it comes to seeds and nuts, I love to really soak seeds or promote soak your seeds, your beans, legumes, all of those starches that are sometimes hard to break down. They can actually be easier to digest when we soak them. And as far as fruit goes, the fiber content does change depending on how ripe or unripe they are. So one of the best examples is a banana. When a banana is unripe, it has more fiber content and in some ways, now here's the thing. For some people who have digestive issues, actually having more ripe fruit will be easier on the gut compared to unripe foods. However, unripe foods have a fantastic amount of fiber and really good for the gut. So sometimes when people are coming to me and they're just wanting to know, like, how can I nourish my gut more? I say, eat your fruit when it's really, really fresh. If you are prone to diarrhea, gas, bloating, wait till it's a little bit riper. It's almost like the starch content changes and it becomes easier, at least at that point in time, until you can increase your fiber content. So we might know that brown rice is more fibrous than white rice. When someone has a diarrhea outburst, white rice is great. But we want more fiber. We ultimately want more fiber and we want to eat brown rice as a staple. But if someone's coming to me and they're really getting upset from brown rice, we start with the white rice and then we build our way up. So it's a similar thing when it comes to nuts and seeds and fruits. I hope that answered your question, Ernie. That's a really good one. And but it kind of depends. It's a little bit complicated. I hope that was maybe a good rule of thumb for now. And I love these questions. So last way to promote regular digestion is through meal timing. Meal timing. So I can't also tell you exactly the right times of day to eat because it will differ from person to person. But one thing that we can all do is work to stabilize our blood sugar. This is a process of trial and error, but really finding that we don't let ourselves get to those low dips of blood sugar where we're getting like crazy hangry. We feel that drop in energy. We feel like we are maybe dizzy. Those are all indications that our blood sugar is too low and that insulin response is going to start to get our gastric acid and our digestive enzymes flowing. And it's going to say, hey, we need food. If we don't nourish ourselves, like we're not eating often enough, we're not providing ourselves with nourishing snacks in between meals, or we're eating too often, we're going to upset this wonderful blood sugar balance. So 3 non-negotiables that I like to talk about when it comes to blood sugar is hydration, movement, and sleep. These are some of the best things besides nutritionally. Fiber and healthy fats already help stabilize our blood sugar, but really making sure that these are in line are just as important. Sometimes I'll have clients come to me and they'll say, I feel like I'm eating everything right. My nutrition seems good. I've worked on it for so long. What do I do? And I'm like, you're right. Your nutrition is great, but you're getting 4 hours of sleep. You're not hydrating enough and you're not moving your body. These things are just as important to nutrition and stabilizing this whole hunger and fullness process, this clock that we really want to be on when it comes to our digestive process. Gentle fasting is also another important thing to keep in mind when it comes to meal timing. A simple 12-hour fast overnight is really great. Sleeping is our natural fasting period. We don't have to go on an extra long 16-hour fast. There are many fad diets out now, like intermittent fasting, that may work for some, but not for everybody. But really, sleeping should be our natural fast. So if you are prone to eating late at night, that's me. I still am. But really allowing yourself a 12-hour fast. If you stop eating dinner at 7 p.m., don't pick up your breakfast until 7 a.m. and see if you can kind of do without that midnight snack that can really allow your digestive system a break. That's when our digestive system needs a break. We don't want to be having to digest our food overnight. So another little tip that I love to give is instituting a power down hour. This is the hour before bed, powering down electronics, definitely powering down from food and hopefully not eating or snacking too much, and allowing your body this transition into sleep. Your digestive system is going to transition as well. And really it's gonna do your gut a huge, huge favor. Also, had to throw in another picture of Smiles there. Smiles, my kitten. When she was a kitten, in fact, there. That was just a couple months old. Oops. Excuse me. Don't want to skip over the microbiome. So microbiome, this is that collection of good and bad bacteria in our gut. And essentially, we want to promote the growth of healthy bacteria so we have enough to fight off the bad. Probiotics are natural colonies of that good bacteria. But one of the things, I think there's a lot of buzz around probiotics now that can be found in the fermented foods. I'm a huge advocate of apple cider vinegar. But we oftentimes forget about the food for probiotics, which is prebiotics. Prebiotics are naturally found in fibrous plant-based foods. A lot of these things are going to interconnect, meaning I have a lot of different slides here, but I'm hoping it's maybe like 5 things that you really need to remember from this presentation. And those are the food, the prebiotics, the fibrous carbs are the food for the probiotics. So we spoke to speak to your question, Ernie, resistant starches are a wonderful form of prebiotics. The banana that's unripe is going to have more resistant starch and feed those probiotics. However, if you're deep into IBS or some sort of gut issue, I tend to tell people to ease into probiotics and ease into prebiotics. It might cause some digestive upset immediately, some gas, some bloating, if we don't allow ourselves a transition period. Again, I'm going to throw us Americans under the bus. If you're on a standard American diet that's low in fiber, high in sugar, isn't really plant-based, this is going to hit yourself like a little shock to the system. But over time, the idea is to have more prebiotics to feed the probiotics. And ultimately, my personal opinion is that prebiotics are more important than probiotics. I know probiotics get all the buzz. I'm a big advocate for getting probiotics naturally from fermented foods. If you need to supplement, looking for a high quality supplement, live active cultures, 10 to 50 billion CFU or colony forming units is going to be beneficial. But I truly don't believe that everybody needs to supplement with probiotics, especially if you're getting enough prebiotics to naturally grow and feed the probiotics that are already within your gut. If you are on antibiotics or you've had an infection, absolutely probiotics are the way to go. But ultimately, prioritizing clean plant-based foods, prebiotics are a wonderful way to go. The last thing about the microbiome that's important, that is often overlooked, is the role of cortisol. So cortisol is our stress hormone. It's released when we're under stress and it's beneficial. It has a lot of wonderful ways that it actually helps us with our adrenaline response and inflammation if we had an injury in the moment. But it does the exact opposite when it's released too often. So it causes inflammation and it actually causes the growth of bacteria. The problem with most of our busy lives nowadays is that we release cortisol far too often. So a lot of gut issues can be just as impacted by cortisol as poor diet. So the last part that I'm going to speak to here before I hand the baton off to Lina is strengthening this healthy stress response, this gut-brain axis. So I already spoke to the vagus nerve here, and this is going to be that wonderful highway that is a communicator between our gut and our brain, in which most of our stress is going to affect us, right? It's usually a packed schedule. It's maybe emotional stress. It's too many things on our brain. And when we're stressed out, we have two nervous system responses. One is the sympathetic nervous system. That's our fight or flight response. Evolutionarily, we're running away from the bear. We're maybe fighting it off. And what happens is our body says digestion right now is just not important. So blood rushes away from our internal organs to our appendages, and our body gets in an inflammation response. If we had an injury, that's fantastic. If we don't have an injury and we're just sitting in traffic, that inflammation is going to affect our gut. So ultimately, we want to switch on our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest response. This is when optimal digestion happens. And mindfulness is a wonderful, wonderful tool to use here. The kind of good and bad news here is that these two nervous system responses are essentially like an on-off switch. It can't really be in one and also be in the other. Very quickly, we can move into the sympathetic when we get a triggering email from a coworker, maybe, or, just anything that stresses us out. However, we want to train ourselves to switch really quickly back into that parasympathetic nervous system response. One of the best ways to do that is mindfulness. And just for time purposes, I'll very quickly go over 2 more slides with some tips on how to combat that stress from a nutritional standpoint. So some of these foods right here are superfoods that contain antioxidants that fight off that inflammation. So you can use supportive nutrition to combat the stress in your life. Some of my favorite ones are soothing ginger, herbal teas, and green teas. Turmeric has wonderful antioxidant properties when used with black pepper. So a little turmeric, a little black pepper when you're cooking. Fatty fish that has those healthy fats like salmon, as well as colorful fruits and veggies. So a lot of the foods that you're going to tick off your list because of the fiber or the healthy fat content are going to also help you with your inflammation. I'm all about things that can be, hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. And a lot of our foods that fight inflammation can do that as well. The last thing that I will guide us through is a very, very brief visualization. I'll take 30 seconds and I want to talk about a mindful meal. So if you're with me, I would love for you to close your eyes and picture your next meal. On the screen here, I have a cup of tea. I have a really orange chocolate citrusy smoothie bowl. I love orange chocolate personally. But I would love for you to picture that next meal. And we're going to use the NBC of mindful eating, the NBC of a mindful meal, to tap into our senses and actually start something called the cephalic phase of digestion. Cephalic means head. So we can actually start the digestive process in our head right now before we even get to our meal. So the first step, the N, is to notice. I want you to notice all the colors of the plate in front of you. You can visualize whatever you want, but notice all of the colors of the different foods. Notice the textures. Maybe you have some melted butter on an orange sweet potato. There's steam rising off of it. Maybe you have some broccoli with some sea salt, and you can notice the texture of the sea salt crystals. See if you can smell the aromas of that food. Maybe some nice chicken breast. And just see if you can notice with all your senses the food in front of you. The next part of the NBC of a mindful meal is to breathe. So take a big deep breath in. You might notice some of the aromas of your food. And if you can't picture that right now, that's okay. Just take a couple of deep breaths and know that this is actually preparing the villi on your intestines to start to digest that food. And if your mouth is starting to water as you breathe and notice all the colors, that's actually digestive enzymes in your saliva preparing you for that meal. Now I want you to imagine that you are taking the very first bite of your food, whatever seems most tasty on that plate. And I want you to see if you can taste that food and start to chew in your mind and count to 20. 20 bites of food, about 20 to 30 chews per bite of food is really optimal to get this digestive process flowing. So often we rush through a meal and we scarf our food down in 2 bites or 2 chews. And we're bypassing this wonderful process of digestion that actually starts in our mouth. As you slowly chew your food, you start to notice more textures and more flavors. You're breaking down some of those starches and carbohydrates in the sweet potato, for example. And you're really doing your gut a favor by being mindful with your meal right now. Just by practicing this visualization, about 20% of your stomach acid that can help with digestion can be released right here, right now, before you even start to digest your food, before that food hits your stomach. So know that you're doing your digestive system a wonderful favor. And when you're ready, you can return to the room. Hopefully you'll have time to get a snack or a meal after this potentially, although I know it's late there in England. But this mindful meal practice, the NBC, is a wonderful way to prepare for a meal. And again, get your digestive juices flowing, get your gut prepared for a meal. So the last thing that I wanted to share was just a little bit about the programs that I offer as a coach. I do offer different programs for different investment and time levels, and one is a reset cleanse. So if you find that you or someone you know is still confused by what to eat, how to go on a gut healthy diet, the reset cleanse is a quick 3-week little cleanse, really any of us can make a change in 3 weeks. I'm positive of it because I provide that one-on-one support to help you find the foods that mesh well with your digestive system, detailed guidebook and recipe booklet as well. In my 90-day program, that's really customized to my client. And we look at not just food, but stress management and movement practices to nourish the gut, to help with maybe emotional eating patterns as well. And then the last thing is my foundations course. I recently just launched my first online course. It's actually $25 just for the rest of the month. And all my contact information is here, which I put in the chat box as well. And I realized I don't have a direct link to the course, but feel free to reach out to me via email, check out my website, social media. If you're interested, you or someone you know is interested in any of my services. And of course, if I can answer any questions that we didn't get to during my time today, but without further ado, I will hand it off to Lina.
Thank you, Trish. If anybody wants to ask any questions, otherwise, yeah, as Trish said, she has all the details there, and maybe if you have more questions that she can answer in a bit more detail, you can just contact her directly. I just wanted to ask about herbal teas. Do you have any recommendations? I love herbal teas. I'm a herbalist myself, but just wanted to hear your recommendations as well.
Absolutely. I'm a big tea fan. I think ginger, any ginger blend, and peppermint are my two, those are like the gut superfood teas. But chamomile can also be really calming and soothing. Those that have blends that have fennel is also really wonderful because that can promote really regular digestion if you're prone to constipation. But peppermint, ginger, chamomile are my favorite for bloating and discomfort. Yeah, and Yogi is a tea brand that has some wonderful blends, stomach ease, that I really love.
That's awesome, actually. Yeah, I myself personally, I can add another one, the dandelion tea that I love, actually. Yeah, if you collect dandelions just before they start to flower, that's probably the best time. And they have this bitterness as well that it really helps your gut. So just addition to that.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much, Trish. It was really a good presentation. I have to say, I have IBS myself, so all what you said, I really relate to all of that. And I know that a lot of it is really important. I love your power down hour. I always recommend that to everyone as well. So every evening, you switch off all your social media at least an hour before you go to sleep and start to cool down, or let's say calm down before the sleep. That really helps better sleep as well. And yin yoga is another thing that really helps you to calm down. So I always recommend that.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are wonderful. Those are wonderful things to do during the power down hour. I always forget about the yin. And then when I come back to it, I'm like, this is like the best ever. Why don't I do yin yoga every single night? It's wonderful.
I know, it's the same for me. Like every single time I have a bit of tension and I do yin yoga, and then I realize yin yoga is something it forces you to relax, you want it or not. So it's kind of like it forces you to slow down, because yin yoga is something it's just a much slower yoga than you would usually do, and you have to hold the pose for longer. So kind of you want it or not, it just forces you to relax. So it's kind of it helps you, it gives that push a little bit.
Yeah.
Lovely. So thank you so much, Trish. I'm going to move on to mine, if no one else has the questions. I haven't seen it in the chat, so I just assume that we can move on. And we're just going to do some more exercise to do with relaxation, because obviously we know now that is very linked, relaxation and kind of like a gut health and mind health. And this is my presentation. So let's start about that. I'm going to have some funny presentations as well. So let's see if you're going to get a bit more engaged there. And let's start as soon as I can get this started. Okay. Oh. Okay. I think we are on. So relaxation for mind and gut health. I'm Lina. Obviously, you all know. I'm not going to start to pronounce my surname. You don't need that. Just call me Lina. And owner of Lina's Holistic Coaching. And this is how it's all started. So just a quick introduction how I got into coaching and holistic wellness and all that. I was working for over 10 years in stressful, busy financial environment, which was mentally demanding and like very stressful. And that resulted in a lot of stress-related illnesses. I had enormous migraines, IBS, anxiety, and chronic stress, which is, I can relate a lot to this gut and gut health and mind health, kind of like that. They are very interlinked because I experienced this myself tremendously. I don't know if you know a lot about IBS, but IBS usually starts with the huge stress, and a lot of time it actually starts for people in the like when they're studying. So in universities, colleges, like that's usually when it starts, because this is when it's very stressful. You're doing all the exams, like a lot of studying, lack of sleep because you're usually studying during the night, eating poorly and all that. So this is when a lot of times IBS starts. In my case, it was after that. Probably I was not stressing that much. I was studying ecology. I really loved ecology. So I have to say I was not stressing too much in my study years. I was stressing much more in my work years. And this is when it all started. I have to say this is 2 years after, 2, 3 almost years after that, and I'm managing my IBS like really well. So, but this is all because I'm doing all those things that Trish was saying. And yeah, so I worked very hard that time to find the non-harmful, natural, non-time consuming relaxation techniques for myself. And this is what I'm doing right now. I'm really enjoy studying, finding more of those techniques and helping other professionals to actually balance their life and just move on to a bit more relaxed and balanced and kind of like a time in their life. So importance of the relaxation for your mind and gut is pretty much obvious. So relaxation helps regulate the stress response, thereby suppressing chronic inflammation, stays and maintaining a healthy gut barrier function. Research has found that taking breaks can improve your mood, boost your performance, and increase your ability to concentrate and pay attention, which is very important when you are working, when you're studying. I always say, this is why I'm always direct all what I say to professionals, because we need that mind to work, especially when we're running our businesses, when we actually busy working and trying to concentrate. We need all that attention. We cannot afford that attention to go away onto stresses and poor health. So rest is an important part of healthy lifestyle for all ages. It rejuvenates your body and mind, regulates your moods, and is linked to learning and memory function, obviously. On the other hand, not getting enough rest can negatively affect your mood, immune system, and gut health. So here is just a couple of examples how stress impacts your gut and mind. And it just kind of like the examples that it came to my mind, because it's much more of them actually. It's really a wide range of those impacts. Most of them actually quite on the bad side, let's say, like as Trish says, if the stress itself is not a bad thing, prolonged stress actually affects most of the time badly our health and yeah, all the digestive system in this case. So stress can affect digestion and what nutrients the intestines absorb. Gas production related to nutrients absorption may increase as well, and that's when we get bloated. The intestines have a tight barrier to protect the body from most food-related bacteria. Stress can make the intestine barrier weaker and allow gut bacteria to enter the body. So just a few kind of like results of stress on your gut. And your mind, obviously, that's another part that is so much more to it as well. It's just, again, few examples for you to just have in your mind. So it can produce mood problems such as anxiety and sadness. Obviously, there is much more emotions. It could be anger and much more to that, but it just produces the lower energy moods, let's say. It can even lead to behavior problems such as outbursts of anger and overeating. That's usually we see when people overwork. I usually always give this example of the family And I'm not going to say it's a man or a woman overwork, but like when the kids come and they want some of your attention after the long day at work, when you are super stressed and tensed, you are usually just lash out. I mean, just not usually. Maybe you don't, but a lot of people, they just lash out at them that I don't have time and I'm just not in the mental state to play and all these kind of things. And that's usually just because of the stress. What you might not know is that stress can also have serious impact on your brain, and that's really like prolonged stress and chronic stress can actually cause much more serious illnesses, so mental illnesses. You can also say depression and anxiety. I usually call depression is just the call, your body's call for rest. So it's literally just your body saying that I desperately need rest. And this is why depression's kind of like symptoms is you just want to lie down, you have a low energy, you don't want to communicate with anyone, and it's just your body and your mind saying that just close yourself and rest until you're actually able to function again. Okay, this is that funny part that I was thinking about. This is how I imagine stress building up for you. So that water tap is a stress. So you can see the stress running. You are the bucket in this case. And if you allow that stress, because we cannot avoid stress, we have that stress all the time, we will have it. There is no way to completely remove stress from your life. So it will be there. It will be always filling up that bucket. So in that case, you always will be filling up with that stress. But what you can do, you can actually add those relaxation techniques, and they are those holes. I don't know if you can see that because this was my way of expressing. So those blue holes with the dripping water out of it are relaxation techniques that you apply. So how they work, they actually release that stress so various relaxation techniques, they release that stress slowly, which is, it doesn't allow that stress to build up and overflow so you don't get overwhelmed. So I hope this is clear. That makes a lot of sense in my mind, that this is how stress works. This is how you can make sure that that stress don't overflow and you don't get overwhelmed. So if you just applying those short relaxation techniques. And obviously you need to find the right relaxation techniques, because I know a lot of us, we say after the busy day, it's very easy to just flop on the couch and watch the television. And that would be your relaxation for the evening, maybe the whole weekend in some cases, when you need more. Like I definitely remember when I used to be very stressed, sometimes I used to spend the whole day, morning to evening, watching, I don't know, TV series or something like that. And I thought after that day, I'm going to be perfectly fine. As soon as I stop watching those series, I'm just go back to the same mental state that I'm completely stressed and I don't want to go back to work. So this is usually what happens when you do that. You just redirect that attention from that one thing that stresses you out onto another thing. And when you think about that, that's actually watching the television, you just, your brain is still working on the same level. So you're just suppressing that stress, you're just pushing it down, and you're not actually dealing with that. So rather than that, you need to activate your body's natural relaxation response, a state of deep rest that slows your breathing and heart rate, lowers your blood pressure, and brings your body and mind back into balance. So you actually activate that natural body's response where the body itself kicks into that restful state and actually starts to rest, which is kind of like, you can very easily imagine like sleep. Like, for example, when you go to sleep, you just drift into sleep and your body starts to do the rest. This is what we want usually during all relaxation techniques. And those are 5 that I could think of that they would be the most relevant to this particular topic, so with our gut health. And that's meditation, abdominal breathing, yoga for digestion, mindful relaxation, and positive imagery. And I'm going to talk about each of those a little bit more in detail. We're even going to try some exercise. I'm just looking at the time. We still have time, so we're actually good, because in that case, we can try both breathing exercise and the short meditation as well. So abdominal breathing starting from 5 to 20 minutes each day will reduce anxiety and stress and relaxes your mind. You don't have to do that long. You can actually just use breathing exercise when you need. So when you are stressed, to just release that tension spot. Or in this case, it's a bit more regular and you are relaxed a bit more. So it's kind of like you get used to it, it's your habit. And it's very easy to go back onto these good habits when you are stressed, because as you all know, we all tend to turn back to our habits when we are stressed. So if those habits are good already and they're actually even helping to reduce that stress, this is what we're aiming for. So deep breathing increases the supply of oxygen to your brain and stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, which promotes a state of calmness. And actually Trish was talking about that parasympathetic nervous system as well, that we want to balance those off actually. So we want a bit more of that as well. Breathing exercise also increase lungs capacity, and breathing through your nose can help breathe easier. All this adds additional benefit for those with asthma and seasonal allergies. And I can say that's me as well. And I'm always adding this because I know I have asthma since I was diagnosed when I was 3 years old. And since then, all the breathing exercise I was taught to expand my lung capacity and have easier breathing was through your nose. And obviously, yeah, just have that regularly. So let's start this breathing exercise, and this is going to be a very short one. So I'm going to ask you to sit comfortably, make sure both of your seat bones are equally on your sitting surface. Make sure your back is straight. So if you actually want, you can even put some kind of like a pillow on your lower back to make sure it's actually straight, and let your shoulders down. Close your eyes and put one hand on your chest and one hand on your abdominal area or your belly. And just start to breathe in and breathe out. And just for a moment, just notice your breathing. Just be curious about it. How fast you are breathing, or your breathing is slow at the moment. How deep you are breathing. How your chest is moving when you breathe in and breathe out. Or how your belly is moving when you do that. Just breathe in and breathe out. Let go of any other distractions. Just concentrate fully on your breathing. Just in and out. And when you do that, just try to slow down your breathing a little bit. And you can do that by just holding your breath for just slightly a bit longer. Just you can do a count of 2. Or just breathe out a bit more. So just making it deeper and slower. And now when you get into this regular, deeper and slower breathing pattern, let's count to 4 on each inhale. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold on 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And breathe out on 4. 2, 3, 4. And let's just do that again. Breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out 1, 2, 3, 4. And just do it in your own mind, on your own count. It could be a bit slower, could be a bit faster from the way I suggest. It's your own way of breathing. So just make sure you count to 4 on the breath in. Hold while counting to 4. And breathe out Counting to 4 again. And just one more time. Just notice your lungs expanding when you breathe in and fully contracting when you breathe out. Feel all that air coming out from your stomach. And just one more time, one last time. Counting to 4, holding on 4, and breathing out on 4. Full belly on the breath in, completely empty belly on the breath out. You can force all the air out on the last breath out, and you can open your eyes and just come back to the present moment. So this is the most simple abdominal breathing exercise. It's also kind of part of mindfulness as well, but I love it, especially for this topic, because it does two things at the same time. It relaxes you and it massages your internal organs. So all that breathing in and breathing out, actually just expanding, just moving your abdominal, moving your chest, actually does the little internal massage for you. So it also is really good during the anxiety. So it's kind of like it releases anxiety very quickly when you do that. And in that case, you concentrate on breathing out a bit longer than breathing in. So this was one of the exercise, and let's move on to the meditation. And I always recommend mindfulness meditation because I think it's the most effective. From the way I see it, is the most simple. You don't usually need a lot of resources for that, so you can very easily do it yourself. And it's all orientated towards yourself. So it's kind of like a lot of the time, it's just concentrating on your own thoughts, on your own body, how it feels, how it's actually just being in the present moment. So I love Trish's actually exercise about mindful eating. I always recommend that as well. It's kind of like, I think from the sustainability part is also very effective because you can actually trace, or like, let's say in your mind, at least you can trace the products that you eat to where they come from, even the person who actually planted them, if that's a plant, and all these kind of things. It's very interesting exercise, and it kind of like it gives you a bit more mindfulness to what you are eating and how you are eating, and what about your products, if they are healthy or not. So you can maybe change that in the future if you don't like what you actually see in those meditations, let's say, or like a mindfulness sessions. So meditation in general is very easy, and kind of like it's learn you can learn to detach from negative anxious thoughts with mindfulness meditation every morning or evening. It depends on you. I personally do twice a day. I do the morning one with intention setting, and I do evening one with relaxation. So it's kind of like that power down that Trish was talking about is very useful for the evening one. So you can just add that mindfulness meditation to that. This can be achieved by practicing awareness, identifying tension in your body, understanding yourself, your thinking pattern, and learning how to deal with difficult thoughts and emotions. That's usually very helpful. And this is what mindfulness meditation does for you. So as we already started kind of with exercise, let's just get into the this healing mindfulness meditation. And actually all I'm thinking about right now is if I can actually share the sound together with this. Otherwise, you know what, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen and start sharing my audio. In the meantime, you can just get into a comfortable position and just, again, like just get comfortable, start to close your eyes and start breathing deeply. Get into this state where you let go of all your thoughts and just concentrate on your breathing. And I hope you can hear my audio. Yeah, I can see Trish is nodding, so that's fine. So just let's get into this relaxation. Concentrate on your breathing. Notice your body for a moment. Just notice how it feels. Start to relax your body bit by bit. So start to relax your face. Relax your shoulders. Relax your back and your chest. Relax your hips and your legs. Just breathing deeply and slowly at this point. Noticing the breath, the air coming in through your nostrils. Filling up your lungs. Feeling your chest expanding. Breathing deeply and slowly. And when you are in this relaxed state, imagine the ball of light just above your head. It can be any color, the light ball. Could be bright white, yellow, purple, or any color you like and you see it right now. Just notice that ball of energy, of light, just hanging above your head. And starting to go down into your body. It's a healing, calming, relaxing light. Feeling starting at the top of your head. And everywhere it touches, it leaves this calming, healing, relaxing sensation. Feel it going down your face, relaxing each muscle in your face, the back of your head, your neck, cleansing and healing all your internal organs, your nose, your mouth, your throat, relaxing any tension, relieving you from any irritations. Feel that light going down into your chest, expanding there. Relaxing and relieving any tension. Feeling that ball of energy going into your abdominal area, your gut. Letting go of any tension there. Any irritation is disappearing. all this ball is leaving behind. It's only calm, relaxing sensations. Feeling it going down to your hips, your pelvis. Going down your legs. Down to your feet. And feeling all your body completely relaxed. Surrender to the gravity. Free of tension, irritation, inflammation, anything that is no longer serving you at this point. Breathing deeply and slowly. Feeling completely relaxed. And when you are ready, you can start to open your eyes. Maybe wiggle your fingers and toes. Start to notice your surroundings, your connection with those objects in your room. So you're completely back to the present moment. And welcome back, everyone. I'm gonna switch the sharing part again. And hope you're all feeling a bit more relaxed after this. Just give me 1 second to do all these switches. Sorry. Oops. Okay, let's go back to our presentation. So actually, I haven't seen the chat, but I hope I can answer all the questions if there is any a bit later. I'm just going to finish it off. So I just wanted to say that this was very similar. So it's kind of like it was combination between mindfulness meditation and positive visualization exercise. And this is what we usually do with this positive visualization. So actually and especially this is really helps when you have IBS symptoms like bloating or like a pain or like irritation, all these kind of like a symptoms, like a fairly unpleasant. So you can actually imagine that ball of light or just a feeling of kind of like a relaxation and letting go of all those unwanted symptoms. And you can do that regularly on the daily basis or just when you're feeling bad. You can feel it as a warm light. So it's kind of like that warmth is also a bit healing more. So it's kind of like this kind of exercise, it helps us well to release those bad symptoms, let's say, that we usually experience with poor gut health. Another one, so we already kind of like I mentioned with Trish, it was yoga, and in this case, yoga for digestion. I usually recommend. It's not a certain type of yoga; it's just the yoga poses that actually helps you to release or like let's say increase the digestion, and it's usually a lot of twists and stretches that they do. So you can very easily find yoga for digestion on YouTube or any app that you use. In my case, I use daily yoga, and they have a really great yoga for digestion sessions as well. So but if you want some more recommendations, just contact me and I'm gonna give you some recommendations where you can find yoga for digestion. So yoga has long been known to be a great antidote to stress and help to relax your mind. So that's one part. And then yoga combines many popular stress reducing techniques, including exercise and learning to control your breath clear the mind and relax the body. And in this case, it's even the digestion part. So this one in particular creates detox sequence to gently encourage the release of waste from your body and mind by moving from energetic standing twist to restorative twists, where gravity helps to decompress the spine. This yoga helps you practice and surrender, rather than creating blockages in your body, heart, and mind. So try it out. It really helps. I do yoga for digestion since I was diagnosed with IBS, which was more than 2 years ago, and it works wonders, especially when you feel bloated. It works wonders. So I have to recommend that. Mindfulness relaxation, this is just a very simple thing that I would recommend, and I'm going to try to move through this a bit faster. So mindfulness relaxation is just something that I recommend. This is very personal. So just making sure that when you plan your day with work, you actually plan in the relaxation time as well. So you see those two things as equal parts of your daily routine. And this is because it's very important to have those relaxation techniques in your life. It could be very different techniques, as from very simple, just a conversation with your friend, or just taking up a hobby, or just spending time, kind of like doing something that you like, sleeping, or just extending your sleep a little bit more, having a hot bath, or aromatherapy. And aromatherapy is, I'd hear a bit more about that. And in this case, I picked few essential oils that is really good for digestion, or like a different gut health. So for example, peppermint is the same as the tea. Peppermint essential oils is the bloating. Ginger reduces nausea. Tea tree detoxes. Oregano detoxes as well. Cardamom, which is I really love cardamom in my tea actually as well. But in this case, it's an essential oil that is anti-inflammatory. And fennel stimulates digestion. So you can try those out. I also finally found out actually, or I can recommend you, all those vegan, ethically sourced and organic essential oil brands that it's actually both in UK and US. So if you're interested in that, I can recommend some really great companies actually that they do that. And I found like really good ones that you can use it, and they're just a bit more healthy as well. So yeah, and this is just a quick kind of like a presentation of the products that you can get from Lina's Holistic Coaching in relation to this workshop. So I already showed few kind of like a relaxation techniques, as like a breathing exercise and meditation. There is much more of them. So if you, for example, struggle meditating daily, or like a struggle adding the meditation into your daily routine, 7 weeks meditation program is actually really great, because we do kind of like a learn meditation once a week. So we meet for an hour on one-to-one coaching programs online, and we learn different types of meditation that is actually related more to you, so we can actually personalize that much more. And 4 weeks wellness transformation program that is actually concentrated on your issue that you have. So if that's to do with implementing right relaxation techniques into your life, improving your sleep, or just increasing your energy and focus, we can work on that through those 4 weeks. And if you're choosing that program, so you can contact me through all those contact links on the chat. And this is it from me. So I hope you actually enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful, both of our presentations, and hope you learned something out of it. So you can actually, so thank you so much first for listening. Thank you so much for Trish for joining us on this workshop as well. And thank you so much for coming and spending this time with us. I mean, evening in the UK. So actually, sorry, I went a bit over the time that we promised. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I don't know if there was any of them in the chat already.
I just popped in the chat that I wish it was my power down hour here in the States, because I was so relaxed after the mindfulness. I love just totally feeling that calming energy, in the body. And so yeah, that was so relaxing, but it was a beautiful shift for me for the rest of my day, at least.
That's great. Yeah, I'm happy to hear that. I hope everybody else enjoyed it as well. And yeah, definitely, as I say, like I have much more of those meditations that we actually can go through and just implement them in on the daily basis. So you do that kind of like already. So you can start your morning with that as well. Yeah. Lovely. So I'm happy that you guys still here. I can see some of you still here.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. It was wonderful to virtually meet everybody here. I really appreciate it. It's really fun to connect. And yeah, I loved it. I'm so happy that we connected, Lina, and we were able to do this.
Yeah, thank you so much, Trish. And thank you so much for everyone to come. And yeah, let me know if you need anything. Otherwise, yeah, you have our contacts. I think with most of you, with me, you are already connected. So give me a shout if you need anything. And yeah, Trish as well.
Yeah, I'd love to connect with any
too.
and all of you. And I put my contact information in the chat box as well. So
you can also, if you don't remember how to save the chat, there's 3 little dots on the right where you enter your message, and if you click on that, you have an option save your chat, so you would have those details saved if you don't want to copy them right now. And have a lovely evening and afternoon for Alex and Trish. Evening for
yeah.
Ruth, Ernie and Lisa. So have
Lina,
yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Will this recording be sent to us?
We can, yes. Yes, we can send it to you. Otherwise, we're going to put it on YouTube and I can send you a link later. Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
See you soon.
Bye. Bye. See you soon.
Take care.